Welcome, wayward warriors. I am the magical medium. Welcome to this spiritual guidance channel. And thank you so much, and welcome to the new subscribers. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all of those who've been walking with us before. Some of you from the beginning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just opened the container. I asked Spirit to bless us. I also called upon all the healing energies of the universe. So if you'd like to accept those energies, take some deep breaths, close your eyes, and accept those energies now. You'll feel them filter through you. We are in the last moon phase of this cycle. This was the new moon in Aries when it began. And so we are in the waning crescent. And I called upon the waning crescent energy, which is about rest and restore, because when we're at the very end of a moon cycle, it's time for us to take a moment, have some reflection on what happened over that moon cycle. In a few days, we will be having the new moon in Taurus. It's a black moon because it's when it's two new moons in one moon cycle. The second one they call it the black moon. It's also the very beginning of eclipse season. And as you know, the way that the universe works, we always kind of go in this like shadow as things are approaching. So you've probably been feeling the eclipse energy intensely for the last few weeks. And I want to call out all of the light workers who get up every single day and put out all that beautiful energy into the world. Those of you who are new, you may not even know what this is. This may be new to you. You're like, what is this? I don't understand what's going on. Research, look around my channel. You came here for a reason. So today, when I was getting ready for this, I was called to look at my channel. And I thought, oh, there must be something posted or whatever. The very first thing I saw was a little rant from Stargirl, the Practical Witch. Oh boy, did I resonate with what they said. I mean, deeply. Because she said, I'm not a fucking Zoltar machine. If you don't like my channel or if you don't like the things that I'm doing, she's like, you can fuck off. You don't need to be here. I'm paraphrasing. These are not her words exactly. This is the energy I felt from it. Some of them are her words, but I felt it. She's like, I'm not a Zoltar machine. I'm a human being. And I'm an artist first before I am a medium, a psychic, whatever they label themselves as. It's their languaging. But my languaging right now is like, I feel that, and I feel that hard, and we are being tested. And one of our tribe members, actually, years ago we worked together. Hi, Shanna. And she had said something about being tested, and I got really angry about it. And I remember that I said to her, I'm like, Spirit doesn't really, it's not about being tested. It's not about, and they're like, I get that really strong, and they're really powerful light worker as well. And one of our many white buffaloes in this tribe. And what I realized was that, at that time I was correct in terms of like, it was a different time. We hadn't fully gone into the age of Aquarius. Long story short, I started to recognize over the last several months, I've been hearing that from my own spirit guides. Like, it's a test, or they're kind of like testing, and the one thing they want to say and preface this is that love is the first thing, and they're coming from love. And when they say test, they're saying this isn't a written exam from school. This isn't about some narcissist who's trying to test, your behavior and your love for them and get you all fucking scrambled up in your feelings and your emotions. No. This is like, how bad do you want this? X, Y, and Z. It's different for all of us. How bad do you want this thing? How hard are you willing to work for it? How much are you willing to give up and change? So as we go into this next moon cycle in a few days, the new moon in Taurus, You know, fire is the Aries representation, and Taurus is earth, but it's also about material. It's about how we feel on the inside and the outside. It's about being grounded. It's about really truly loving ourselves for who we are and accepting ourselves and letting our freak flag fly. You know, um, when I saw Stargirl's rant, I was like, that's so interesting. Like, that's the first thing I'm going to see when I go on here today. But it's just, it resonated so deeply on so many levels because, you know, I responded and said, you know, I don't give a fuck if this sounds ego or not. It's not. This is my soul knowledge that I get from my guides, from where I come from. And I said, being a medium is likened to being a celebrity, especially Stargirl is. She's an influencer. She has, I think, almost 900,000 followers. That's a lot of fucking people. Not to mention the people who don't subscribe, you know? So I started to feel this energy from them, you know, this rage, this anger, this frustration, this, you know, because I'm an empath and a telepath, I can feel what the person's feeling, even sometimes when they don't know what they're feeling. I've sometimes said to somebody, you know, are you, I understand you're feeling this. They're like, no, I'm not. And they get defensive. And I'm like, that's okay. You're not there yet. And, you know, and when I say that about likening us to those energies is because when I wasn't a medium, I was still a good time Charlie. I used to party. I was fun. I always dressed weird. I was always eccentric. I'm the type of energy when I walk in a room, the fucking record, you know, and that's okay. I've learned to accept that. I could walk into a room with not even that and people still notice me. You know what I mean? But when they said that about being a Zoltar machine, I was like, I get that because it was beyond all the things people have used me for in the past, to listen to their problems, to they knew I would bail them out. You know, at once upon a time, I didn't live in a fucking camper that's been in a constant remodel for 6 years, you know, in a 26 by 10 foot camper. Like I wouldn't be here, you know, like I put myself here to go through a lot of shit that I had to let go, for a lot of things that I had to release. I knew that I told Spirit, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this on my own. You know, and my partner and I, it's like why we've been sparring and dancing together when this love hate push pull for, you know, 7 years, going on 7 years next month. And I started to see everything for the way that it was. But ever since I really became a medium and started working as a medium, I cannot tell you how many people call me, text me, email me all the time for free advice, for free insight. And I remember several times I have said over my social media, in my readings, I'm like, I do this because it's my job and I was called to do this. Like, I came here to do this. This is what I came here to do. But it's not the only thing I came here to do, which is why I started my Poetic Prophet channel. I too, like Stargirl, I'm an artist. This is my job. I love it. I love my fucking job. I'm blessed to love my job, right? Because I'm doing what I'm meant to do. However, it doesn't give people carte blanche to just keep taking from me, taking from me, taking from me, taking from me. I've become a hermit. I went from having, I don't know, 179 contacts in my phone, which were just my close people and my clients, to like my regular clients, to now I have, I don't even know if I have 10 people in my phone. And Spirit did that. Spirit took my, like literally pulled my contacts from my phone twice last year because I didn't have the fucking balls to do it myself. They pushed and prodded me to the point, from family and friends that were quote unquote family and friends that were so awful to me that I had to get to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I don't care if I ever talk to them again. They're awful. That's awful. Why did I take that for so long? Why did I listen to that? Why did I let them abuse me for so long? And it's time for us to stand up. And in this last bit of this fire energy, whenever you watch this, it's timeless. But it's the energy that you will feel from this reading. Because this is my energy, not of anger. Frustration, sure. But of my support of my fellow lightworkers. When I went to respond, I saw Rosology on there. And I've been following Hazel since Hazel. Like, I remember the first time I ever watched one of Hazel's readings, it came into my orbit. And I don't even think I think she was like hovering around 4,000. She was like maybe 3,900 people or something. And now she's got like over 100,000. She's got, 1,200, patrons or whatever. she's amazing. She's magnificent. Stargirl too, like both of them. Stargirl, I think, is making like, 6 figures. Good for her. She fucking deserves it. She's an amazing, amazing, gifted reader. And so is Rosology. And there are many, many, I talk about Dee all the time from Consciousness Evolution Journey. And Dee is like a perfect one for me because I love Dee and I love her readings, but I don't agree with a lot of things she agrees with or certain people that she follows or plugs or whatever. But that doesn't make her any less important or any, you know what I mean? That's just me. That's just what I jive with. She is where she's supposed to be, giving that to other people because that's what other people have to learn, go through, right? So it's a process. And these moon cycle readings, why Spirit brought the moon cycle readings to me and to do like to base my channel more on that and that, bonus reading when I do something else is because we need to look at things like that in cycles. That's why, the female reproduction is, menstruates every 28 days. Some people can gauge their period to the fucking, day, to the hour, to the minute, there's so many things that go on. Like I said about the number 7, we go in cycles. There's numerology. Everything has to do with everything. It's all connected. Every single thing is connected, which is why they had me bring this in. I like to make my little star family, with the glitter. But that's our star family behind us, looking at us. And it's no mistake that Spirit asked me to read from the Wisdom of the Avalon deck today. Look at that fucking moon. It's the waning crescent because we're about to go totally dark. So if you watch this in real time, please take the next few weeks and over eclipse season and Mercury retrograde. Mercury's not going direct until the first week in June, but we're going to be in the shadow of all of this. We're in the shadow of Mercury retrograde right now. So go easy, take it slow. I know it's springtime and you're like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And Spirit's saying every day they want you to walk with intention. 1203 is our angel number. I'm going to write that down. They want us to walk with intention every single day. They're having me write that down. Walk with intention. Everything you do. Everything you do. And I know that's going to be difficult, but this is your little challenge, right? Your mission, should you choose to accept it. Those who've worked with me one-on-one know I have I call him Ethan Hunt, because he comes in with his dun, 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 dun. Mission Impossible, but it's not Mission Impossible. This is Mission Possible. And this is what Spirit wants you to remember, that you are here on a mission. Today, we are also going to read from the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck, which I'm really excited because I just got last year another deck that one of our tribe members, Anna, thank you, Anna, gifted us with. Seriously, she is our channel sensei. I'm so in gratitude for how many decks that, because she's an oracle and she knows what we need. She knows what the tribe needs. So we're going to pull from that. And tarot is no nonsense. This isn't a tongue lashing in any way. Spirit wants to be very clear about that. They love you more than you can ever possibly imagine, because the love that we come from is so deep and so vast that our beautiful human minds can't even grasp the concept of the love. But they want you to remember that right now you have to get real. I actually flipped these over so you can choose from the images, and they were like, no. And it's not about like, oh, they want to make it tougher. I'm sure they'll have me do emojis or a number or something in the timestamps in the description box, but I don't know exactly what they're going to have me do. But I've told you guys this before. I am a tarot reader, but I am not a tarot professional. I am a medium that uses visual aids, mostly oracle cards. Tarot cards come into me for different reasons. And it's interesting to me that the only true tarot deck that I have is my Witch's Tarot. Because the other ones, my Fairy Tarot, the Night Before Christmas, my Jus de Vivre, whatever, the Joy of Life, that they're not actual cups, swords, you know what I mean? Like this deck, we use potions, presents, the Nightmare Before Christmas. And if you've never got this deck, I highly recommend you use it. So I use my intuition, but I also like to read from the book because I said I am not a tarot professional. But though I did start with tarot years ago, it's really about channeling the messages, and it's the visual aids for you. Each of you have your own gifts. Every single one of us have gifts, and every single one of us are psychic. Some of us use our muscles more, right? Today, Spirit wants to talk to you about where to focus your energy during this rest and restore period. And not just this rest and restore period of this last phase of the waning crescent moon before the new moon in Taurus on the 30th, the black moon, but also that eclipse season is no joke. This is a solar eclipse on the 30th. The second eclipse is going to be the 15th to the 16th. It's one of those penumbra, they call it, whatever. It's like, so it, it's going to be like partially the way the planet is, it's going to be here and there, right? Because depending on where you live in the world. But the full moon in Scorpio will take place over the 15th and the 16th, and that will be a full lunar eclipse. And eclipses are a wonderful time for us to really look at everything, peel back everything, look in the darkness, look at yourself, look at what's happening, look what's around you. Pull the Zoolander. Who am I? Yes. It's time to get to the nitty gritty. So, and also Mercury goes retrograde on the 10th, full force. So we've got about 6 weeks from today. Today is April 27th in real time for me on Wednesday, 2022, which is, I feel like Spirit wanted me to add these numbers earlier. So April is 4. Then we have the 27th. So 7 and 2 is 9. 9 and 4 is 13. And then we have 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's what I thought. So today's a 19 number, but if you put that together, it's 10. 9 and 1 is 10. 10s are the ending of a cycle. Take off the 0. 1 is the beginning. So I'm excited. I have no idea what's going to come through here, but, I always say kind of brace yourselves, not in a harsh way, but just, if you're not ready for this, if you're feeling a little emotional right now, that's okay. Because like I said, it's the end of the cycle. But if you're ready for this and you're ready to hear what you need to hear, like I said, it's not all going to be bad. They're here to pump us up with a lot of light and love and peace offering energy from the universe. But at the same time, they're also here to guide you and help you achieve the manifestations that you already set out into the universe. They heard you. I forget which reader it was, so don't quote me. I don't know, or you could quote me. I mean, in the comments below. Always comment below if you want to, join in on the conversations. But they said something about you already ordered it off the menu. They were saying, basically, you already placed your order, so just wait for the food to come. It's like sometimes the food comes quickly. Sometimes, you go to that restaurant and you will wait 45 minutes for that food. You get an appetizer that you can enjoy because that meal is going to take about 45 minutes because it's worth it. I come from Chicago, man. Food. And we are foodies. My family are 3 generations, sausage makers from the old country in Europe and Poland and Germany. And I love food. I love food. And anybody knows, some things take time, like a soup. You can make a soup in a day and you can eat it and it'll probably still taste good. But if you let that soup simmer every day on the stove, maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour, you have a little bit more, maybe 4 or 5 days later, you're like, ooh, that's so much better because the ingredients have seeped in. The flavor, you're like, ooh, man, I can really taste that garlic. I can really taste that pepper in there. That's savory, that's spicy, that's yummy, right? I have soups that I build on. Sometimes I'll even be like, when did I start this soup? Like a month ago? And I put it in the fridge for a few days when we don't want soup or whatever, and I'll put it in the fridge and then I take it back out and I work with it again. And I use it in a stainless steel pot. Stainless steel is the best way to cook your food. You do not want to use any type of pots or pans or cooking things that have that Teflon or anything like that. Those are chemicals and it's seeping into your food and you're cooking it into your food every time you do. Get rid of it. Use old, cast iron, like the frying pans, things like that. There's a reason why those things were used for years, for a reason why they tell you not to wash the cast iron pan. You got to wipe it out because you want to keep those flavors in there. Your manifestation and your dreams, all of them, everything that you've spoken to the universe, everything that feels right in your gut, that you're like, I know this, Spirit, I know this is for me, it's coming. But we do have to wait. And sometimes if you give up too quickly, it's not that you failed the test. It's just like, okay, well, then you got to wait again till that next cycle comes in. There's a lot of magic that happens during this cycle. For a lot of light workers, it is in the darkness that we find our truth and our answers. So over the next, like I said, 6 weeks from today, whenever you watch this, it'll be whatever for you, but you understand. This is a really potent, magical time. You can still rest and take care of yourself and still go after your dreams. Get grounded, get out in nature, get off your phone. You could play on your phone, it's fun. I get it. Spirit just had me join TikTok and I'm still trying to figure out. I'm like, I have to watch a tutorial. This thing is like hardcore, but I'm excited because I could tell. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have fun with this as an artist, right? So it's about balance. And the moon teaches us that, right? When we have those, bam, first quarter moon, bam, third quarter moon. When we're in that balance, half light, half dark. But somewhere in the middle and somewhere in the fray is where we live. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm very excited for what's happening for all of us. Thank you for being here for the reading. If you're new to the channel, Spirit breaks this up sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it goes straight through. I have enough memory on my camera. I have enough energy on my phone. Ooh, and I look down 2121. Also, I call things out like that. If you hear me call out numbers or animals or things, that's for you to look up. That's for you to take notes. Okay, because the more you investigate and research on your own, the more you will retain that information. I promise you, I promise you. For years, I was always like, gimme, 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 I need, I want, like Bob Wiley from What About Bob, you know, or Needy Baby, Greedy Baby from Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. And then I realized that it was literally in doing the work myself is when the magic started to just flow through me more naturally. We all have magic. Everybody has a dream. What's your dream? From Pretty Woman. What's your dream? I'll see you at your piles. And all of my information is in the description box below. A lot of you guys have asked me like how much my rates are or what do I give? What do I give? Well, I give this stuff. But what type of offerings do I provide? So I put them in the description box below. You can email me at themagicalmedium@gmail.com and we can set up a session for you. I have my information below for that, or if you would like a recorded session. Okay, so the rates and all of that is below. And if you'd like to donate to this channel, to donate to all of the beautiful work that goes into this, because most of the time when you guys donate, at least half of it goes back into me buying cards, candles, things for that. The rest pays my bills. So I'm in gratitude for whatever you can and do provide. And if monetary is not in your wheelhouse right now, I beautifully and lovingly accept prayers always. We are moving in 6 weeks, so definitely prayers is something that we will need to guide us to the new home that we are meant to be at. Until then, I will see you at your pile. Blessed be. Oh, I love you. Bye. Welcome, pile number 1. Spirit wanted me to throw this out there. So if you did not watch the messages for the collective from Spirit from the beginning of this, you can stop this now and go back and watch it, or you can go back and watch it at another time. But they definitely, this is one of the first times that they're really pushing for people to listen to that, because that was like a direct channel and messages that Spirit is really, really wanting all of us to hear right now. So I'll leave it there. Okay. Anyway, welcome, pile number 1. Thank you for being here. We are in the waning crescent energy, which is also this beautiful moon right before you here. You can see that on the picture. Do you want to see what your card is? What did you choose, pile number 1? Oh, communication, number 41, which is also the number 5. And number 5s are all about change and transformation. So they're not having me put lights on today, but I am feeling like I want to put more candles around you. It feels more like a protection thing, like you guys aren't protecting yourselves. I'm getting this vibe, oh, I got the chills all over my body, that you're giving way too much. And the communication it's interesting that it says communication, because I feel like this is spirit talking directly to you. They're communicating with you right now. And maybe they've been trying to tell you this through signs or people's behavior. They're doing shitty things, or just things where you're like, wow, that's like really uncalled for. Or, you know what I mean? You're like, really? Okay. This particular card in this deck, there are different chapters that have titles to them. And this comes from the Sacred Journey Markers. And this is about you finally setting your boundaries and communicating with love with people as lovingly as you can, by the way, Spirit said, as lovingly as you can, because I'm hearing that some of you are surrounded by horrid vampires, which is probably why they wanted you to listen to the beginning of this, because I just spoke about Stargirl, the Practical Witch. I wouldn't call it a meltdown. I feel like it's a glow up. She stood up for herself, and she, some people will be like, whoa, she lost her shit. But I'm like, good. Sometimes we have to lose our fucking shit. Even light workers, we're human here. You do not have to take everybody's shit. You don't have to put up with people's stuff just because you're like, oh, well, I'm going to take the high road because that's who I am. Or Spirit's like, you can still be your loving, beautiful. And some of you, I'm hearing fairy self. Like, you can be that beautiful light energy and still put your foot down and be a fiery dragon. You are both. You don't have to be that. And also I'm hearing that for some of you, there are particular people who are in your life. It feels like family member. I heard mother. And the sad thing is, when I'm hearing the mother on this one, it feels very... I know this is painful, but it feels really dark. This feels like a mother. So if it's not your actual mother, it could be someone who mothers you. It could be a friend who's like always telling you what to do. Or I just feel like there's somebody who is like an over communicator. Spirit is saying they like over communicate, meaning like, they get in your business, they tell you what to do, they judge what you're doing. And see this one that's like kind of flickering. There's one that keeps do you see that one to the right that keeps flickering? That's your spirit guide that's coming in strong. And that is the dragons going like with their, their smoke coming out of their nose. We're like, no, I won't take it. And they're like, so they're speaking up for you, and they're saying enough is enough is enough is enough is enough. And when is enough going to be enough for you? And they're saying sometimes you have to live in a shitty situation when you need to get out of another situation that's unhealthy. They're asking me to share my personal story. When I was 19 years old, I got in a huge fight with my mother, and she kicked me out. I never moved back home. It was hard. It was horrible. Nobody would help me, because certain people they didn't want to get involved, or they didn't, whatever. And I was like, okay, fine. I ended up like taking out a ridiculous loan for 27%. I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm just like saying like, that's what I had to do to get out of my situation. I fought and I clawed my fucking way. I moved into a tiny little apartment in a shitty neighborhood. I was robbed. I was almost raped going into my apartment. It was fucking horrible. I pray none of that ever happens to any of you guys. I claim it so it won't. But after that year, I was the strongest motherfucker I'd ever been. Like, I thought I was strong before, but man, I was like, ain't nothing gonna break a mouse shot. I was like, I'm gonna keep going. And I kept going and going and going. Then I hit a hard patch when I was, I think about 36, 37 years old. Almost 20 years I'd been out of my parents' house. And I really wanted to go back to school. And I ended up moving back in with my mom and my stepdad. It was very difficult, and I had to commute to school. Like, I had to drive to the train station, take the train downtown. I was 45 minutes outside of the city in Chicago, where I grew up. My parents had moved down to this cute little, farm town. The house was beautiful. I was really blessed. It was like a 130-year-old Victorian mansion. So there were some really cool things about living there, because they, got that house years after I moved out. So it was kind of fun to live there. But at the same time, I had to live with my mom and my stepdad. I had to listen to them fighting. I did, my mom screaming my name, pick up your shit. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God. After I'd been married, you know what I mean? Lived on my own. I never owned a house, but I'd rented houses. I'd lived in Los Angeles. I moved back home. You know what I mean? And it wasn't my tail between my legs. Back then, that's what I felt like. And everybody around me kind of was like, oh, that's okay. Sometimes you have to move back home. I know that deep down they really were like, oh, that sucks. But the truth is, I'm glad I did it, because that year it was hard, but I didn't have to pay rent. I gave them money here and there. But they were really cool about it. They knew I was really trying to make something of myself. They knew I was finally following my passion. And at, 36, 37 years old, I think I was, I went back to college and I pursued fashion design because that's what I'd always like loved. It had always been something that I'd loved fashion my whole life. And I never thought about being a designer. I'm like, oh, I can't sketch people. I can't blah, blah, blah. And I went to the office when I went there to apply and did the walkthrough. And I remember saying, well, this is what I want to do, but I don't sketch. And she was like, well, that's what you learn here. And I did. And I took art classes and I learned how to sketch and I learned, so Spirit's saying like, the only thing that's stopping your communication with yourself and moving forward is your past. So we're gonna pull some cards, and thank you for listening to my story, because I'm telling you now, it's worth it. It's worth the time and energy. The first year that I moved out when I was so young, man, I honestly wouldn't wish that on anyone. That was a really hard year. But, also Spirit came to my rescue. I didn't get raped. I was almost raped, but I didn't get raped. It was a horrific, horrible lesson I had to learn about, because I was young. I came home drunk. I was 19, almost, or I might have been 20 at that point, with my fake ID and bars and shit. And I was driving drunk and I got to my, you know what I mean? And again, they didn't want to hurt me. And it wasn't like, obviously I did that. It's in my soul contract. I put that out into the universe. I have to claim culpability for that. We all have soul contracts that we just, oh my gosh, do you hear that? It's hail. Oh my gosh, it's April 27th and it's hail. Do you hear that? That's Spirit talking to you. Because they're raining love down on you. They're saying you are not alone. You have never been alone. You will never be alone. Listen to that. Shit. FYI, my partner didn't have to go to work today. He works outside. At least on this project he's working on now, it's outside. And I'm like, I don't think you should go today. I'm like, I just don't think you should go. And he's like, it'll be okay. I'm like, no, I just have a really bad feeling about it. Now that I see hail all over the ground, I'm like, that's why. And he's in an open aired space. But I joke with him all the time. I'm like, why don't you listen? I'm like, I go, you're with a fucking bona fide medium, man. Like, I'm a bona fide medium. Your spirit guides are telling me to tell you not to go, and you still want to go, but that's his right. He chose it. Right now he's probably, I wouldn't doubt, we've been together a long time, I wouldn't doubt that he's like, fuck, she was right. But at the same time, that's what he wanted to do. He can go sit in his car till it passes over. But that's serious. Listen to that. Like, I'm taking my time and I'm just kind of talking to you because like they want you to like really think about like whatever came into your mind during any of that story. Where did it hit for you? We all have our own individual stories, but there was probably something in there, at least one little thing for all of you that resonated, right? That you're like, yeah, I knew better to do this or that, and then that happened, or I knew better to blah, 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 and that happened. The night my house was robbed, I knew something was wrong, and I ended up spending the night at my boyfriend's house because my windshield wiper, speaking of stuff coming down, one of my windshield wipers wasn't working right, but it was summer, and there was no rain in the forecast, and then, like, it just started raining, and I ended up having to spend the night at my boyfriend's house because, everybody was too drunk to drive, and long story short, I just had a bad feeling, and the weird thing is, right before I decided to spend the night, I found a $50 bill outside. And I said, I should put a little note out and say, hey, did anybody lose any money? Tell me exactly what it was. They're like, anybody can guess whatever. And I'm like, no, maybe I should do that. They're like, no, it's like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, $420 cash, my rent for the next month was stolen out of my house. So that $50 was all the money I had. You know what I mean? It's like, but again, I didn't give up. I was like, I just kept going and I kept going and I kept going. And sometimes it's fucking hard. And sometimes we have to just do like the things that we don't want to do. So in this rest and restore phase, I want you to start, and as we're, going into, we spoke about this in the beginning, the reading for the collective at the beginning of this, episode. It's no joke now. We're given these gifts, the eclipse season and Mercury retrograde at the same time. It sounds like a shit show, but it's actually a gift. It's only a shit show if we call it that. I mean, Mercury retrograde can actually be really, really good for us because it brings back things that we need to, the things that resurface that we need to look at again. So over the next 6 weeks, the things that resurface, it's not that it's like, oh, we've been through this, blah, blah, blah. It's because they want you to look at it from a higher perspective. They want you to look at it from a different angle. They want you to, not be like, be happy that it happened for you, not to you. And rejection is spirit's protection. We must always remember that. So, okay. Let me just make sure. Hold on. Okay, so your first card from the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot is the Tower, but it was actually in reverse. But I wanted you to see it this way first because look at that moon, the waning crescent. There are no accidents. I haven't used this deck, I think, since Christmas, around Christmas, when one of our tribe members, Anna, when she bought this for us. So that's like really powerful. I don't want to cover up the glitter. I feel like I want to go this way. And I want to read from the book because it's really cool. And I'm also going to kind of come out a little bit here. I want you to be able to see this. Okay. The Tower. And, okay, I hear what you're saying. So they're saying the Tower is also the number 16, which is the number 7. So they want you to see that. That must mean something for one of you guys. You could be a life path 7. So it says, Jack plots his Christmas takeover high up in his tower, but his scheme doesn't go according to plan, creating chaos in both the human world and the holiday worlds. The tower represents unexpected destruction, confusion, and major upheaval that illuminates the truth. This is the reverse meaning. Sometimes the Tower reverse indicates you're going through a very personal, cataclysmic transformation, soul-searching, and... rewind, back up. Sometimes the Tower reversed indicates you're going through a very personal, cataclysmic transformation. And what was your card? The communication card, number 41, the number 5, transformation. Soul-searching and honesty will see you through the fog. Other times, the Tower reverse indicates resistance to the change brought on by catastrophe. But don't fear the unknown. Embrace the inevitable for a smoother transition into brighter days. Exactly. Because sometimes things have to... I love the Tower card both ways, because sometimes things have to completely fucking blow up in our face. Like, for some of you who know, if you are in our little, we have like a little secret tribe. And if you'd like to be part of our secret tribe, there are readings that I do, and I put it on a private link and I send it to you, whether through text or email, whichever you prefer. And it's like our own little, it's like messages for the tribe, but it's on a more intensive level. And Spirit called me to do one on Monday. I've already sent it out to my people, but if you are being drawn to it, I know we have a lot of new subscribers here. So if you're drawn to that, email me at themagicalmedium@gmail.com. It's a minimum donation of $5 or more, whatever you can afford, whatever Spirit calls you to donate. But we literally, it was like 2 hours, I think it was. Or maybe a little, like almost 2.5 hours of us working intensely with Spirit and the Dark Mirror and the Making Magic decks, because Spirit wanted to talk to us about the eclipse season and Mercury retrograde. So it's specifically like an in-depth reading for the tribe specifically. So if you're interested in that, email me. All of my information is in the description box below. Also in my about section, there's links there as well. I don't know if my email link is there, but I think my email is there. It's just themagicalmedium@gmail.com. It's spelled exactly the way it is on my page. Just I spell magic with a CK. I use a K. All right. So yeah, so you're in your Tower moment. And what were we just talking about? I was just telling you how I had these times in my life where like I had to make a decision. Because I put myself in that situation, I had to get myself out of it. And sometimes we do have to rely on friends or family members to be like, hey, can I crash on your couch for a few months while I get my shit together? Hey, mom and dad, siblings, can I come and stay at your house, for a little? I've known people, one of my friends was going through a really tough time for a while, and they were couch surfing for several years. And, it took a toll on them after a while, but then they also became a house sitter. So they got to be known and pet sitter. So they would like stay in a month at this place. They would, and some places it was great because then they got the whole place to themselves for like a month. It was like, but it gave them time to like regroup, refocus. And I feel like that's what you guys need right now. When I didn't want to move back home, I remember I had like at the time when my a relationship at that time blew up in my face like that, like it was like a fucking grenade went off, and I was engaged. I was about to be married. Oh, it was awful. Anyway, I remember I said to my mom, I'm going to move back to LA. I was living in Kansas at the time because I met my fiance in Chicago, and his family was in Kansas. And the only reason why I moved there was because his parents were literally millionaires, and they offered to buy the house in this really beautiful neighborhood, this old vintage house. And so I was like, you know what, let's try it. Like, if we don't like it, we can always leave, kind of thing. And I was like, maybe I'll like living in Kansas, you know? And in Wichita, no, I was there for 22 months. It was painful, but that was me. And I just remember that I was like, I'm going to move back to LA. And my mom was like, why would you move back to LA? And I'm like, hey, I have like $6,000 saved. I'm like, I'm just going to fucking, go back there. I had a lot of friends there, my quote unquote family at the time, my family I made for myself, friends. And my mom was like, yeah, but they've moved on. This person's married now. These people have kids now. It's not going to be the same you think it's going to be. She's like, you're older now. Like, she's like, you may want to think about, blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, why don't you just come home for a while? Just come back. She's like, put your stuff in storage there. She's like, come back, stay with, me and dad, and, figure stuff out. And honestly, like I said, it was hard, but I'm so glad I did that. It changed the whole trajectory of my life. It helped me, get back on track. And that's all my mom kept saying was regroup, regroup, regroup. You just need to regroup. Because I was always successful, made money, had good jobs, lived in beautiful homes. My relationships weren't always so great, but I made things work, and that's basically what I'm getting from spirit. Look at that. It's like they wanted me to put right? Like it just needs to put you back in alignment. See how that is? How it almost looks like they're like in this like kind of half crescent. So that's what they're saying. It's like you just need some time to regroup and get back in alignment. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. So there's no shame in going home. And who gives a fuck what anybody else thinks? This isn't their journey. It's yours. It's your journey and your journey alone. End of story. Whatever you need to do to get your life back on track, you do it. Because the best part about this card is the light's on. Somebody's home. There are people who love you, who will look out for you, who aren't going to judge you. Take this time to figure it out. And for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, like summer's on the way, man. It's going to be great. Maybe you've been wanting to live van life. Do it while the weather's nice. See how you feel about that. Maybe take a few months to figure some stuff out. Maybe you got a few grand saved up and you're like, hey, and you're like, if I only spend this much on gas and go here. And there's a lot of places you can camp for free for up to 2 weeks. A lot of national parks, you're allowed to park there for free for 2 weeks. I don't know if it's national parks or state parks. It depends. You have to look it's different for every country and every state. So, but you know what I mean? No fear. Spirit wants you to go into this with absolutely, positively no fear. No fear, no fear. And that is going to be your mantra. They literally said they want that to be your mantra going into the next moon cycle. Take a moment to look back on this last moon cycle. What was good, what wasn't good, what needs to shift, what needs to keep, right? But going into this moon cycle, your mantra is, my beautiful pile number 1, no fear. And you communicate your boundaries. And if you're around people who can sense fear, right? Like, because most of the time we're around other people who are as powerful as us, but they may not be as awoke as we are, or even woke at all, right? They're still stuck in the third dimensional energy of control and manipulation. They still follow politics and religion and things like that. If that's not who you are, then you need to get out of it, because they're literally dulling your light. They are breaking your stride. They're taking your power away. Listen to that. See that car going by fast? Don't rush out of there. Take a few moments to think about it. Have a game plan before you do what you do. Don't just rush out. Don't do it emotionally. Do it from a place of grounding, right? Because we have the next month, it's the new moon in Taurus, and then it'll shift to the Gemini. So Taurus is earth and Gemini's air. So you'll know in this grounding period, really think about it. We've been in Taurus for a minute. So really, really think about your next steps. And then, after Mercury goes direct on, I believe it's June 2nd. And so once Mercury goes direct, And before we shift into the water, you know, in that air energy, it might be time for you to fly, right? Use the air energy to fly out of that space. But never, I personally never move, sign documents or anything like that over. I mean, we've got an eclipse season, a full moon in Scorpio. And Scorpios are all about intuition, right? And it's also a water energy. So emotions, flow. I mean, we can go on and on with that, but cups, right? It's about filling those cups and filling you on the inside with love and joy and happiness and what you deserve. Pile number one, you deserve more than you possibly even know. And if you've been around people, especially narcissists or gaslighters or people who are stealing your power, it just feels, you may feel weak right now, but you just need time to pull yourself away from those people and be in good energy around good people who make you feel good about yourself. Okay, I believe that's it. But yeah, they're saying, but don't be like that fast car. Don't go fast. Make your decision, move, whatever this is, change jobs, stop talking to people, whatever this is, it's going to be different for all of you guys. Insert, you know, your own story here, relationships. When we do things quickly and without thinking, that's when we're like, oh, fuck, what did I do? You know what I mean? Like, so do it from a grounded state. Until next time, all of my information is in the description box below, and I'll see you at the next reading. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Welcome, Magical Pile 2. I love how they came in so dark. When they said they wanted to work with this fabric, with the glitter and the natural lighting, I always get excited because those spirits really work through this glitter. It's like we're looking at the solar system. It's like our ancestors are showing us that they're all around us all the time, holding us up, keeping us grounded, keeping us steadfast in our mission here on Earth. They're also asking me to remind you that if you haven't watched the reading for the collective at the beginning of this episode, please take some time to go back and watch it either before or after this reading. There were some really important messages that came through from Spirit about the impending eclipse season and also Mercury retrograde coming up. Today we are in the waning crescent energy. We're in the 8th phase, the last phase of the moon cycle from the new moon in Aries. In a few days we'll be entering the new moon in Taurus. We are in the Taurus energy right now of the earth, of the grounding energy. But we're, like I said, we're in the rest and restore phase. When we're at the end of the moon phase, it's time for us to look back on like what we've learned, what we've gained, what we've lost in that moon cycle. You know, what can we take away from it to move forward, and what do we need to leave behind? Okay, so you chose pile number 2. The dog. Oh, hi doggy. Oh my goodness, you're so cute. Oh, I mean, golden retrievers. I feel like this is you guys. Because golden retrievers, I'll tell you what, I've had all different dogs throughout my life. We bred German Shepherds when I was a child. I love animals, but right before I moved to the Pacific Northwest, I was dating a gentleman who had a golden retriever, and that dog, I could have the shittiest, most horrible day, and he would do everything in his power to make me happy. I would be laughing and silly, and he was just a and that's how I feel like you guys are. You're just like the golden retriever of the humans, you know what I mean? Of the light workers. And look at the glitter on my finger even. It's like, I'm just trying to show you like just how special you are, like what you do. Also, I'm feeling that some of you are really huge animal lovers. I mean, look, we've got each, in this Wisdom of Avalon deck, each chapter has a name. And this is the Animal Guides of Avalon. So I feel like you guys are those who work with the spirit animals a lot. I'm hearing a lot of like birds around you, ravens, crows, eagle, hawks. Like you're just those people that you see, you know, birds all the time. Or, you know, I feel like some of you are the people like you don't care, you're not like ew or freaked out by spiders or whatever. Like you just love life and living creatures. So on this card it says loyalty, sincerity, unconditional love. It's also number 19. And while we were putting this together, Spirit pointed out to me that today is a 19. If you add in real time, it's April 27th, 2022. So in real time, if you add those numbers together, it's the number 19. So it's really powerful. And it's also, then if you add them together, it's the number 10. So my dear pile 2, it is time for something to come to a close and for a new beginning to happen, because that's what 10 is the end of something, and you take off the 0, it's a 1, and it's the beginning. It's about a new beginning. And this is the rest and restore phase. So let's find out. I'm not feeling anything else from the dog. Spirit, do you have anything else that you want to say about the dog right now? There's some energies that are coming in. Grandma Louise, I heard it felt like Lou, then Louis, and then Louise. So I don't know if that means anything to anybody. It felt like a grandmother, and then it felt like last night I watched this really awesome movie. I think it's called Woman Walks Forward or something like that, but it's based on the artist who painted Sitting Bull before he was assassinated, before the Battle of Wounded Knee. And it was so powerful, it was so beautiful, and just how strong this woman was in 1890. This, very white woman, New Yorker, coming from New York, going all the way across the country to Nebraska to sit with Sitting Bull. I mean, it's just, the story is really amazing. I always put like as my birthday sister calls them, my little Easter eggs and things to look up. I'll put it below in the description box. But it was just so powerful to see what this woman did after her husband died. And it's just really cool. She, little by little, we find out more about her and her story and how she came to be there. And she was a professional painter, and she had painted for, like, I think senators or congressmen or something, like really influential, important people. She had done their portraits. I think she even did the portrait for the vice president at the time. And so she was like, she had read about Sitting Bull, and she's like, I want to paint his portrait. And they were all told her she was crazy and she couldn't do that on her own. A single white woman going across the, into Native American territory like that. They're like, that's really fucking dangerous. And not only that, but just that there was so many wars going on for territory at the time. And that's when the Native Americans were being massacred for their land. And she was like this protector. And the coolest part about the story that I didn't know, I had seen the painting. I worked in an art gallery years ago when I was younger, and I had seen images of Sitting Bull before, so I knew that it existed. So I was excited for the story as well. But the most fascinating part of the story for me was that Sitting Bull was friends with Wild Bill, who had a horse named Rico. And he left Rico to Sitting Bull, and Wild Bill had, I believe it was Wild Bill, so correct me if I'm wrong, but he had taught Rico all these tricks to make money, right? They'd go to like different carnivals and sideshows and stuff, and he was Wild Bill of the West, kind of thing. He had his reputation, and then the horse had the reputation of doing all these different tricks. So the whole thing was so powerful from beginning to end, but just the fact that this horse played such a big role in the story just goes to show how important animals are. And as I'm reading this for you, the ant just came in. So if you have not studied the ant spirit animal yet, it has been coming in the last few Pick a Power readings. I've been doing this for 52 minutes now, almost 53, and I've not seen the ant yet, and I've been talking about this rogue ant for weeks. He's just like walking around. I don't know what's going on. So there's something there for you guys. So whenever I call things out, if you're new here, welcome to the new subscribers. Thank you so much. We love you. We're glad you're here. Thank you for joining the tribe. We're growing in numbers. We're going to keep growing in numbers. And the ant spirit medicine is all about patience. And look at that dog sitting there patiently with a smile on their face, right? Because if you train a dog, you can say, sit. And you can tell that dog to sit there. And there are some people who have trained their animals, it could be any animal, but in this situation it's the dog, to sit until they tell them to move. And I feel like this is where you guys are, because you're not moving from your situation. They're having me, I'm about to go in, zoom in here. They're having you, they're specifically bringing your attention to the loyalty, sincerity, and unconditional love, because some of you are sitting where you are and you are not supposed to be there anymore, but you're staying there, whether it's a job, a relationship, family, whatever it is. But I'm hearing you're staying in a certain situation that has long passed its expiration date, and they're saying out of loyalty, sincerity, and unconditional love. But Spirit's saying, where's your loyalty to yourself? Where's your sincerity to yourself? Where's your unconditional love for you? Why should you have to keep taking someone else's shit when you are not happy and you are uncomfortable. Look at the ant. Look at, now they're crawling. Do you see it in the screen? To the left? Rewind it if you didn't see it. They just almost crawled on the cart. I mean, come on. They were right in front of me, and my camera's a wee bit away from that, and they had trekked and made their way over there, so they're not playing. So seriously, you know, but ants also don't give up. You know, have you ever watched an ant try and get a piece of food to bring it back to the tribe? They will pull, and they are extremely strong for an insect. I believe they're one of the strongest insects on the planet. But just because, you know, and that's what Spirit's saying. They're small, but they're mighty, you know, but they're saying, but if you're bringing, you know, if you're off alone by yourself and you've lost your way, Spirit's saying, you know, it's because you're giving way too much to something that no longer serves you. And it needs to go away now. I just got the chills all over my body. And this family member is coming back. It feels like Louis or Louis. I had an Uncle Louis, but I believe he's still alive. So it could be for some of you guys, it feels like that kind of, or somebody who feels like an uncle or maybe a big brother. There's somebody that's coming through. And sometimes when it doesn't resonate, it could just be a spirit guide of one of you. It could also be, they're not identifying themselves fully. It also could be that they are an ancestor, because that's what it really feels like. It feels like I heard